And we were talking in the locker room after the game about, at this time of the year, you have to play a certain way defensively, and you have to play with a certain amount of energy and urgency. It's March. You got to have a different mindset when you play in March than when you play in January. And then if you make enough shots, you get a chance to win. And we did that. That's what we've been doing the last 3 or 4 games. Mostly for most of the season, actually. We've allowed our defense to give us a chance to win games. And against a team like USF, you have to work really, really hard. These guys worked really, really hard to keep them out of their comfort zone. And we didn't shoot the ball particularly great, but that's what happens. Some days it goes in, some days it doesn't. But if you play defense the way we played it, you've given yourself a chance. So I'm really proud of how hard we played today.
Please raise your hands for questions for the student athletes.
Megan, on Monday, you guys forced 15 first-half turnovers. They scored 14 points. Today, you forced 14 first-half turnovers. They scored 17 points. What is it you guys were doing to them to make that happen?
Throughout the whole game, we tried to take away what they wanted to do. So, step in front of passes, make them go back door, and then that way we got the steals and we converted on the other end.
Christyn, can you talk about how the defense leads to offense, and when you're not shooting, how important the defense is for you guys?
Yeah, I feel like that's been the focal point. Defensively, really ramped up, and it helps us offensively. It helps us get in transition, and it just gives us energy as a team.
Christyn, we saw you driving the lane hard the first time while regularly. When did the message get across, and how did you feel about the success inside?
Yeah, as you know, this season has been a struggle for me offensively, so I'm slowly getting back to my normal self. It felt good to drive and make that layup, so I'm just trying to do that more consistently throughout the tournament.
You guys talked earlier in the season about how this might not be a good defensive team. Just what has changed down the stretch, and is it the urgency with the tournament that kind of lies behind that?
Well, I think we see glimpses of what our defense brings, and it helps us offensively. So that's something that we have to do. We have to bring it every game.
Meg, you put together 2 really good tournament games so far. What's your headspace going into the finals tomorrow?
It's good. Everyone's playing well right now, and that's what we want going into the championship game.
Christyn, you said you've struggled all season offensively with your shot, but you've shown glimpses that you still can do it when you're confident about it. And last year you had a great postseason. Do you have the feeling like you're capable of just turning it around now and really impacting this team going forward?
Yes, I feel like I've changed my mentality. I think postseason is just a new season overall. So I changed my approach and if my shot is not on, I'm trying to impact the game in other ways. Stay engaged.
Good word.
Yeah.
This might be more for Geno to answer in his portion, but how hard was it to watch Kyla go down and go to the locker room?
Megan and Christyn, that's for you.
It's tough for us to see that, our senior that's worked so hard throughout her 4 years. She had, another run at a national championship in front of her. So, it was tough for us to see, and, we're going to keep that on our shoulder as we move forward.
Yeah, definitely. She's one of the captains of our team. We love Kyla to death, so of course that hurt. That's the first thing that we asked when we got into the locker room after the game, like, how is Kyla? Yeah.
Any other questions for the student athletes?
For both of you, you outscored them by 22 points in the paint. So was that a function of the outside shots just not falling, or was that the strategy going in to get inside as much as possible?
I wouldn't say it was our strategy, but Coach has been, focusing on us getting points in the paint, rebounding, getting second shots. So it just happened to fall that way, but we did get a lot of transition buckets.
We'll take one more question for the student athletes. Thank you, ladies.
Oh.
Oh, Dennis. Sorry, Vicki.
Megan, you just played South Florida on Monday, and Coach talks about like what a hard team they are to stop from being in their comfort zone. Like how did you keep that? Maybe play even better today than you did on Monday, even though you did so well Monday. Did you change anything, or you just tried to keep? Was it hard playing the same team twice this week?
No, I don't think it was hard for us to play the same team twice in 1 week. I think it helped us. We pretty much did the same things, and it was fresh, it was new, so we were all familiar with what we wanted to do.
Okay, thank you, Christyn and Megan.
Here.
Questions for Coach Auriemma?
Geno, when Christyn does stay engaged the way she was today, how different is your team? I mean, you obviously need somebody else to step up offensively, and she seems to be the one player who could really do that for you.
Yeah, one of the things that's pretty prevalent in in basketball that I see today is kids are very engaged when the ball's going in the basket. When they're scoring a lot of points, they're like happy, they're playing hard, they're smiling, everything's going great. But we don't need you then. We need you when the ball's not going in. Anybody can win when you make 14 for 26 from the three-point line. What are you going to do to impact the game? Like Christyn said, that's what we talk about all the time. How are you going to impact the game when you don't have the ball in your hands? And that's the biggest challenge for Christyn. All her life she has the ball in her hands and she scores. Now all of a sudden, what are you going to do when you don't have the ball in your hands? Stand around and watch like she did in the first half yesterday, right? She had one rebound and 2 turnovers in 20 minutes of basketball. That ain't the winning edge, right? For a kid that's first team all conference. So what are you going to do? And a lot of it involves on the defensive end, moving without the ball, offensive rebounding, get out, in transition. Do things other than just stand and wait for the ball and shoot it. And obviously when she's like that, we can spread the floor more. The strength of our team is our perimeter play. And we need her. And we need her defensively. She did a great job defensively today. Really, really good job defensively today. That's part of the growing process for her.
Geno, the injury to Kyla looked pretty bad from where we sat. Do you have an update on what happened there? And can you just talk about what she has meant to this program this year especially?
Yeah, we obviously we don't know right now exactly. She's on her way to get some X-rays, and we'll know more. But she landed directly on it. So it was a really hard fall, and obviously it's serious. How serious, I don't know yet, but she just broke her finger the other day, so she's walking around with a broken finger, and that's on top of she needs surgery on her foot at the end of the season. So she has the foot problem that's been bothering her for a couple months. Broke her finger the other day in practice, and then this today, playing 33 seconds. That's a lot for a kid that loves the game, and brings a lot to our team on and off the court. She's a kid that does impact your team, whether she's playing or not, whether she has the ball or not, whether she's shooting well or not. She has an infectious kind of personality that makes your team better, and that's rare in today's day and age. And we're gonna miss that going forward.
Geno, a month ago, you said your team was like a jazz ensemble.
Yeah.
Going forward, as a coach, you have a lot of different parts. What have you done as a coach to get them playing on another level and having that sweet sound?
One thing that has been a real struggle for us up until maybe the last 2-3 weeks. One thing that's been a real struggle for us is making the next play, making the next pass, making the next cut. And that's what's changed our team. That we finally have ingrained in them that in order for us to be the kind of team we can be, you have to move without the ball. And a lot of kids don't want to. One, because it's tiring. Two, because I only want to stand here and shoot threes. So it goes against everything that they believe in. Why should I cut? Well, if you cut, as opposed to stand, if you stand, you might get the ball and you score. Great. If you cut, you might get the ball and get a bucket. If you don't get the ball or get a bucket when you cut, you just opened up an open shot for one of your teammates. So you did two things just by cutting. Or you can stand there and put your hands up and wait for somebody to pass you the ball. One is a selfish act, the other is an unselfish act. When you catch the ball, you can either move it to the next guy that's open, or you can hold it and look around and see, eventually I'll pass it, but first I got to exhaust all my options of scoring. And we were doing that a lot, and we would dribble. That was our thing. Catch it, look around, dribble, pass it. And once you start doing that, everybody does that. Once you start making the next pass, everybody does that. That's the biggest change. The next pass, which is something we've always taken for granted here in Connecticut, the next pass and the next cut. If we can do those two things, the shots present themselves. And that's what's changed our team more than anything.
Geno, does all that mean that they've become a much smarter team, much tougher team, both, or one or the other?
Well, that's a very optimistic view on your point to take it that far. That is a huge leap of faith there, Mike. When you're willing to make the next pass, that means you have confidence in your teammates. That means you trust your teammates. And that has been hard to come by. I mean, even though we've been winning, even though, we put ourselves in the exact same position we were in last year. We just got there a different way. But, yeah, if you don't trust your teammates, you're not going to throw it. If you're open and you don't get it, the next time somebody else is open, they ain't getting it either. So that just kind of feeds itself. Okay? And have we gotten smarter? Yeah, I think we actually have. We actually have. We've gotten a little bit smarter. Have we gotten tougher? Maybe. I'm not quite ready to go that far, but I think we need to get tougher. We need to get tougher physically, and we need to get tougher mentally. We're not built like that. We're not built to be bullies, but that doesn't mean you can't be tougher mentally, you know? So that's the project for the next 2 weeks. Because this is my mantra. From the first time we ever made the NCAA tournament, when I thought we could actually win a game in the tournament, it's always been about, you can't work on things in March. Like what? Hey, you know what? We're going to go home and get bigger. Or let's go in the weight room and get stronger. Let's go do our more agility so we can get quicker. You're not going to do any of that stuff. The only thing that changes in March, if you're any good, is you just get a lot smarter and tougher mentally. Because you know this is crunch time right now. And you're either going to win because you're mentally tougher than the other guys, or you're not and you're going to lose. Plain and simple. And in March, teams don't lose in March. You have to beat their ass. And there's only one way to do that. You know, or you can go in and go, I hope they play bad today. That ain't going to take you very far. So there's a mental toughness that you have to have in March. And do we have it? We have more of it than we had in January. Let's put it that way.
We'll take one more question.
Geno, I know you have a game tomorrow night before you start worrying about the NCAA tournament, but for the first time I can remember in this run you've had of the Final Fours, you don't really know where you're going to go in the next, after the first two rounds. Does it matter to you? I mean, you usually knew you'd be somewhere in the Northeast, or the year you're in Nebraska, but this year you could be in one of many different places.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I think back to where we've played, you know, obviously Bridgeport, Albany come to mind, Trenton, Rhode Island, Dayton, Nebraska. You go where they tell you got to go. And most years, we work our butt off so that we can stay home. That's the whole point of the regular season. So anybody goes, oh, you always play close to home. No kidding. It's the whole point of being undefeated and being the number one. So we've been able to do that a lot. This year, even if we did and we were the number one, we're still not anywhere close to home. So you just got to go where they tell you to go. And you got to play who they tell you got to play. I don't go to the selection show on TV and go, I hope we're in this bracket. I hope these teams are in our bracket. Because it always backfires. So I just sit there, I watch. Those guys write all the brackets in. And then I get up and go eat and have a glass of wine. The only time I worry is when I think the NCAA tournament is being screwed around with and the seeds are wrong. And this team has no business being that seed. That's when I worry. When instead of it being fair, it's unfair. When it's fair, it's fair. You got to go play. Got to go play. One year we played in the regional. It was harder than the Final Four. You don't know what you're going to get. You just got to go play. And hope for the best. Hope you're good enough. You know, that's that. That's that. I mean, I don't know. Did anything change in the last couple of last year we won? I said this. Last year we won this tournament and went from a 1 seed to a 2 seed. Should have not played in the tournament. We might have stayed number 1. I don't know. Did anything change over the weekend? Yeah, Baylor lost today, but does that change anything? Louisville lost yesterday, right? Does that change anything? UCLA lost yesterday, right? Does that change anything? I don't know. If I try to keep track of all that and go, oh, now they're going to move here, they're going to move there, Tell me who we're playing, where, what time. We'll be there.
Coronavirus, does that come into play in your head at all about the way you deal daily or preparation?
Have you tasted Corona Premium yet? That is the best beer Corona has made. And you believe how dumb the American people are that Corona sales are down 30%. You can't make this stuff up.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Look, wait, you got to write this because this is incredible. The conference has a policy that you can't shake hands after games. Well, we did today anyway. Our men played Houston the other day. They sweated on each other for 2 hours, and then they weren't allowed to shake hands. We shook hands today. I ain't worried about it. Our assistant, Sarah, her son is a wrestler. They wrestled for I don't know how long on this dirty mat, and they go, no shaking hands. I mean, come on. There's a lot, I mean, come on, don't get me started. All right, good luck. Yo, by the way, you know zone offense, 2-3. We have a play now when we go forward. It's called Jose.